Hello, everybody, and welcome back. This is Vino Frankel, A Taste of Sculpterra. I am your host, Paul Frankel, back for episode 7. We're doing 96 podcasts. I bring this podcast to you weekly, record it Tuesday, and it airs on Friday. Today's special guest is Donna Wolfe.
Hello, I'm so glad to be here, Paul. Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you were the first person I thought of when I decided to do a podcast, that I wanted you here on a routine basis once a month.
I will be here. I'll do it.
You'll be here. Love it. Yeah. I think you have a lot to offer, and you're a fun personality, and you like wine, and we're going to learn more and more about you. I've known Donna, I think I'm at least 15 years. She was one of our first employees when we opened Sculpterra up in 2007. She started right around that time, and she worked for us. She had other jobs in between, came back, worked again, and now she's with us again. And she's done, now for us, she's in charge of the art at Sculpterra. She's the art coordinator and in charge of music and bands at Sculpterra. So we do Artists of the Month, where we feature local artists. They rotate every 2 months. Then we have some other artists that are permanently up, which she'll explain that. We'll talk about that. So she has a passion for art, wine, culture, events, things in the community. So we're super, super happy that she could do all those things for us at the tasting room. So thank you, Donna.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
I've actually known you more than 15 years. I knew your mom in the early 90s.
Wow.
And I remember you with your long hair. He would jog around your place with his long hair. He'd be jogging. I'm like, who's that? And she's like, that's my youngest son, Paul. I'm like, oh. Mm-hmm. So when you were living at the cabin house upstairs.
Yep.
I remember it all.
Yep. Long time. Yep. So she's seen the growth of Sculpterra and how things have, we went from being an unknown winery, people couldn't find us, didn't know where we were, to now, we're on the map. Yep. We're super busy. That's awesome. Praise God. Donna just got married. She's back from her honeymoon.
Got married. I'm a married woman. Yes, I married Douglas Stevens, and I met him. I actually first talked to him at Sculpterra. So Statuesque was the very first wine I gave him. So that's our love wine. So I met him at Morro Bay when he was doing the music contest, and I was a judge. And I didn't talk to him because I don't talk to anybody that's in the contest. It was the Steve Keys songwriters at play. And then he came to Sculpterra to sing, and I walked up to him in the barrel room and I said, "Hi, I'm Donna. Would you like to try some Statuesque?" Cap Syrah, Petit Syrah, it's the best wine in there. So that's how it all started. So Sculpterra is a very special place for me and Douglas, and I was just so glad that I got to talk to him there. And that's where the love story began. And 7 years later, I'm a married woman. I'm blessed. I am blessed to have him in my life.
And you just got back.
I just got back. We took a train all the way from Los Angeles to Chicago, and it was a bumpy ride, but it was fascinating to see the whole land of the United States. It was an amazing thing to do. I think everyone should do it and see what the U.S. looks like from L.A. all the way to Chicago. It was so fun. And we took it back from Chicago all the way up to San Francisco, so a little bit more up north. We went through Denver, and Denver was amazing. It is a beautiful state. So I was just so blessed to be able to see everything. It was wonderful. And you got the meals for free because it came with your ticket. It was wonderful. We could have dinner in our roomette, or you could have dinner with everybody else, and you got to meet so many cool people there. It was really fun. But their wines were not that good. I want to let you know. It made me really appreciate how much our wines are so good here. So, yes. But we had a great time. We loved it.
Well, Congratulations. I'm very happy for you, Donna.
Yay.
Fantastic. Yeah. On today's show, we're going to be focusing on two events that are coming up. We have our fall art show, which is coming on November 15th. And then December 6th, we're doing a brand new event, the Sculpterra's Authors Showcase, which is a book fair, book day with local authors there at Sculpterra. Next week's show, I've got two of the authors here with me, so we'll learn what their inspiration is for writing books and what they're going to bring out when they come visit us on December 6th for the authors showcase. So,
am I invited too? I may show up. I'm not sure, but
to the podcast.
Yeah, it was Sally because that was our idea together.
Okay,
but
can we fit everyone here, Miguel? What do you think? We could do it. You could show up, Donna, for the Sculpterra's Authors Showcase. So we're going to talk about those events a lot, the art fair, because that's what Donna does.
Yep.
She's in charge of. And then we're going to talk about Bentley Ironworks Cabernet. I brought two of these wines with me today. This is our 2023 vintage and 2022 vintage. These are young wines. These are coming out December 1st for the Cabernet Connection Wine Club. So I wanted to try those today. I tried both of them in the last couple of weeks or so and was really impressed. Very happy with these wines. And Bob Bentley, the iron worker, is an iron shop on our property. This label has got his gates on it. So today we're focusing on art, all the art of Sculpterra, and Bob is a huge part of the art at Sculpterra. So what a perfect time to try his wine, Bentley Ironworks. Okay. Muy bien. Well, I want to start off today's shows by the harvest update. What's going on? In fact, today we are picking is our final day of harvest. So we're picking 3 acres of the Chivos Cab and an acre of the Cabernet right behind the tasting room. So 4 total acres. We should get, say 5 tons per acre because the vines have a lot of fruit. So it might be 18 to 20 tons. We're starting at 3:30 in the afternoon, probably finish about 10 p.m. It's machine picked. Comes out really well. I've been really happy with how the machines are operating this year. And that'll be it. So today's November 4th. We started the harvest August 27th with Pinot Noir, and we're ending November 4th with Cabernet Sauvignon. So it's the end of the line, end of the harvest. It's been a long harvest. It's been I've talked about it many times on this podcast how we had that rain event October 13th and 14th, which really kind of threw a wrench in our wheel, so to speak, where it extended everything. We were like everything was getting ripe. It was coming out great, and then we saw the rain coming. We picked as much as we could. And then everything that was left after the rain it had to dry out. The sugar had to rise back up to where it was before the rain. So good news though, I'm really happy with this harvest. It's been longer than expected, but that's okay. I mean, every year's different. What's interesting is there's a lot of green grass growing. On the way here, I was looking in the vineyard and you see green grass growing in the vineyard during November. This never happens. I mean, it's super pretty. Very, very beautiful.
I have a question for you. A lot of people ask, why do you pick the grapes at night? And I try to tell them that, you don't want the sun, making sure that the brick levels, which is the sugar, to go high during the middle of the day. So can you tell them why they pick at cooler temperatures at night?
Yeah, for a few reasons. The machines, the guys who operate the machines prefer working at night because it keeps the equipment cool. They don't overheat in like the heat of the day, so the equipment runs better. But then, yes, like what you're saying, it's better quality to pick when it's cold out to get the grapes off the vine at the cooler times of the day, whether that's, late at night or early in the morning is usually the best time to harvest. But now I think we're all just like trained to pick at night. Even the hand pickers, the guys coming to hand pick, they like picking at night rather than picking in the daytime. They don't want to be out in the sun and have to cover up and get sunburnt and burn in the heat. So it's just they get on a schedule. It's like, all right, picking at night. And then what's great at the winery is you could have your workers picking all night and receive the grapes in the morning and process all day long. So it kind of keeps everything, we're working 24 hours nonstop, round the clock. We have a lot of lights on our equipment, on the tractors, on the machines. So it's like you're picking in the day. There's a ton of light, so it's very safe, and it makes for great photography. It looks really good, really pretty. But yeah, what was funny was when I was a young kid, we always picked in the daytime. It was just, you just start at sunrise and you'd pick till 2 or 3 in the afternoon. But when you're picking in the afternoon and the grapes are hot to the touch and they start to split open and fall apart, and it's hot juice and they start to ferment naturally, native yeast start to activate. So that's another reason. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense to pick at the colder times of the day. So we pick at night. I like doing it. But yeah, since this harvest was such a long harvest, it's just it's interesting because last year we finished October 18th. So now we're finishing November 4th. So it's almost 3 weeks later than we finished last year. And we're transitioning to events. So we're doing, like I said, the fall art show and the book fair, the author showcase, our Christmas party. So I want to finish this harvest so we can move into everything else. There's a lot on the calendar.
We need to get
a
those
lot on
lights
my plate.
up.
Yes, but
we need to get those Christmas lights up.
We try to pick the grapes at the optimum time. That's always key. And it always seems like we're the first vineyard to pick and the last vineyard to pick. We're always, anxious to start, but then we hold off as long as we can to get those grapes as ripe as we can. It's been a lot colder now. This morning it was in the 30s, 38 degrees on our property. So it doesn't make sense to leave the grapes on the vine at this point. They're not going to get any sweeter. You can see the leaves are turning orange, red, brown. They're starting to fall off the vine. They're no longer this nice green look. So it's time to pick. So I've seen a lot of activity now in other vineyards. So everyone's picking, and we're finishing today.
Yay!
I can't wait. Yeah. So we're going to end up making 168 tons this year.
Wow.
Which was up from last year. Last year we did 125, but last year we had frost. So we had very low production. 2023 was the most we've ever made. That was 205 tons. That was a record year. So it's a good year. Really happy with it. So it's hard to say what was the best wines that we made this year. I'm still evaluating them. Some are still actively fermenting. Then we have secondary fermentation where they're going through malolactic fermentation, and we rack the barrels. We're going to be tasting it along the way, but happy with the Pinot Noir, Primitivo. The Grenache came out great as always. Petit Syrah, and the Cabernets that we're making right now. Those are looking great. So,
and we also appreciate Paul is so great. He lets us taste the wines before he puts it in the bottles, and it's amazing. So he invites the team to come out in the morning, and we get to taste the wines before they bottle it, and it's a really great way to be introduced to the wines before they come out. So thank you, Paul, for doing that.
Yep. Yeah, that's fun because those wines that we taste before bottling, we'll bottle it, but then we'll let them age in the barrel for a year or more. So our staff that's tasting the wine is like, all right, this is great. This is not going to come out for another year, but that's why you're trying it now. So you have an idea, make some notes of what it was tasting like on that day. And then when it comes out a year from now, is it different? Is it developed further? Is it just how you remember it? It's a nice experience to do.
Yep.
Well, Donna, I wanted you to spend some time now and talk about your background story, how you got involved in the wine industry. Again, you've agreed, and it's awesome to be on this podcast once a month. So I want everyone to get to know you, get to know how you got into the wine industry, and then moving forward, we'll learn something new about you every time. You
were talking to me about doing this podcast, and I was thinking, how did I start? So it was over 25 years ago. There was a winery called Perbacco that Marco Rizzo owned in Cafe Roma. And John Morris was the manager, and he is now the manager at Talbot's Creek. Well, we knew each other through music because I'm a musician, and he was like, hey, can you come help us? I go, sure. So It was so fun. It was a very small area. It's where Filipone Ranch is now. But back then, I went up to John and I said, hey, I sold a case. He goes, hey, can you come back next week? So that's where it was my very first introduction. And then your mom was renting an office for me doing her family therapy work. And she'd always talk to me. It was the early 2000s. Hey, we are doing a winery with Art, and we're going to have my son and my husband are putting this together. So I was like, oh, okay, because I knew a lot of people were doing wineries. So she's like, can you pour on the first day? I'm like, where is it? And she's like, it's in Paso. I was living in San Luis Obispo. And so I actually got lost going there in my little Del Sol. I went past it and I finally came back, and Kathy was in the back doing all the glasses. You were telling me to go at the end of the bar. I remember this exactly. And he's like, you're going to be pouring this. It was packed. Do you remember how packed it was the very first 2 days? Mm-hmm. It was complimentary tastings for the town. Well, it was an amazing day. And I remember seeing Kathy in the back, and I'd be yelling at her going, we need more glasses. We're out of glasses. So she was working with her horse friends. They were in the back helping out. And I just realized how much fun I had doing it. And I loved the art. And I got to meet John Jagger. He was our very first sculptor there. And John was walking around. You know, he was the only sculptor when we first opened. And I asked him, I said, what's with the cat? What's with the cat in the front? What kind of cat is that? And he said, that's a Siamese cat. And I just said, why do you like cats? What's with you and cats? You and cats. And he goes, I like the way they move and I like their muscles. I'm like, got it. So anyway, John was such a sweet man. I really enjoyed talking to him and being introduced to Sculpterra, that I told Kathy right away. I said, hey, any events you have, I'm there. I'm happy to do it. Because I remember the Greek event we had, the Greek festival. That was the very first event I worked. And it was so fun that I'm like, okay, I want to keep coming back. And that's how that all started. And then I did have a corporate training job I was doing, and I would help on the weekends. And then when that sold out, I came back to Sculpterra, and I had a great time. And all of a sudden, I opened my own wine shop. Wow, that was tough, but I had a great time doing it because I got to meet the winemakers. I got Paul there during the holidays. You poured the port. We had a port throwdown, and your port was the best. We love Robert Hall's port, but yours won. And I did that for 2.5 years. It was really not my cup of tea, but I loved the part of meeting the winemakers, finding out how they produce their wines, and also their story. Their story was so important to me. I didn't really get into the education of wine. I got into the stories of how wine is produced, how their story affects things, how their wines taste. To me, that was an expression of their artwork. So I love art, and I think winemakers are also artists. So it was such a pleasure to be able to pour their wines, because to me, each bottle has so much work behind it. So to get the pleasure of pouring it is an honor. So that was one thing that was very passionate about. And also at the wine shop, I did have an artist of the month. So it kind of fell in when, the art manager left. It was a nice fill-in to go into that at Sculpterra. I love coordinating the artist and working with them and supporting them. That is a passion of mine. So we only had one artist at the time, and when I came on, we started putting more artists in there. And guess what? It was selling. We have 2 artists that are there for 2 months, and I'm already booked for 2026. I'm looking for 2027. So if you are a local artist out there, please reach out to me, because I would love to see your work. Even though it might take you a year to get in there, it is worth it. And we also have our art shows. We have a fall one that's coming up on November 15th. And we also have our spring one, which we haven't decided which date, but it's always in April. So I'm excited about that. And getting to see new artwork is wonderful. And being able to combine that with the wine, Sculpterra, sculpture and land. I mean, that just makes sense. So it's a great fit.
Fantastic. Yeah. No, you covered a lot. And yeah, I remember going to the wine shop, and it was great. And you're such a fun person to have back there, and you were ordering wine. You had wines from all over the world, but you had a lot of wines from the Central Coast. You were supporting local wines, just like right now we're supporting local artists. So, but it was great. You had the wine shop, but we're really happy that you're back with us.
Yes, and I have to tell you, the number one selling wine that I had there was a Pinot Noir by Sculpterra. I mean, people would come in and go, "Do you have that wine with the cat on it?" I said, "You're talking about the Pinot, aren't you?" So that was our most sold Pinot Noir was Sculpterra's, and I'm not lying here. It was, I didn't even say anything. People would just come in, and I'd always have it on the list because it was a demand.
Have you thought about becoming a somm or WSET or doing some wine education?
I thought about that, but my heart lies into the story of the wines. And I love learning about the wines. I don't have a desire to do the educational part. I know Darren has that. Darren Brown, he's wonderful about all the technical parts about wine, the education of wine. I love hearing the stories. That's kind of my bit. And I love sharing those stories with people and having that interaction with someone who is experiencing wine for the first time, or people who have had wines for a while, and it's really fun to listen to them too, because they have a lot to say about their experience with wines. And what I get to do is I get to give them the experience about our wines. So that's a really fun part to do. It's more into giving them the stories about the wines, how they produce it. That's where I lie.
Okay. Yep. Great stuff. So thank you, Donna. Again, she's going to be here the first Tuesday of every month. She has a lot more to share. We'll learn more about Donna as we continue going through this. I want to go to our next section here, the world of wine. Every week I try to bring you some news or something interesting, different that maybe you don't know about wine. Well, have you heard of resveratrol? This was all the rage in the early 1990s. There was a 60-minute special about the health benefits of wine and how these scientists discovered resveratrol, which is a natural polyphenol found in foods like red grapes, red wine, peanuts. It's known as an antioxidant and anti-inflammatory, and research has suggested that it may offer cardiovascular and anti-cancer benefits. So that came out in the early 90s. They called it the French paradox, which was talked about how in France, they drink wine, they eat cheese, and they live till 95 years old. And why is that? Why do they live so long when they, eat and drink unhealthy, right? Well, wine, like I'm saying, with this compound, with this natural polyphenol, has a lot of benefits to it. It's an antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, cardiovascular health, and it may help to reduce the risk of heart disease and also blood sugar control. Some studies indicate resveratrol. It may help improve blood sugar control in people with diabetes, and again, anti-cancer properties. So there's a lot of, you've heard all the news. Everything gives you cancer, and all the warning labels and everything. Well, here's a study. There's been a lot of studies that shows that red wine, because of resveratrol, can reduce the risk of cancer. So that's a great thing. This is something I don't think is talked about enough and is out there enough, and every year we learn more and more about, what exactly are these compounds in wine? What are the health benefits of wine? How much is too much per se, but a glass of red wine every day may help to reduce the risk of heart attack and inflammation, and it has a lot of good things to it. So drink red wine. Right, Donna?
Yes. You know what? I did have a club member from Arizona who was a heart doctor. So I asked him, I said, is red wine good for you? And he goes, if you have 1 to 2 glasses, it is good for your heart. I said, okay, this is a heart doctor. So he did say that. So you are correct.
But yeah, it needs to be red wine.
Yes,
because
red wine.
It's the skin of the grape that has resveratrol, that compound that is good for you. It's that natural antioxidant occurring compound in the skin. And because white wine is made without the skin, right? White grapes are picked, they get pressed instantly, the skins are thrown away, and you make the juice by itself. But red wine is fermented on the skin, so it's got that skin interaction with the must and the seeds, and all the health benefits are in the skin. All the tannins, all the astringency, all the bitterness, all the phenolics are present within the skin of the red grape. That's why, like, the heaviest and the wines with the most color, like Petit Syrah or Cabernets, they have a more color pigment in the skin. Okay, wonderful. So, drink red wine. We like that. So, next up, we're talking about the event calendar. So, Pablo, who is one of our employees, I'm also Pablo, but we have another Pablo. He's pouring at Albertsons this Friday from 4 to 5:30. The Paso Albertsons. Did you know that the Paso Albertsons sells more wine than any Albertsons in California?
Yes, I knew that. Is it Linda still the manager there?
Linda is there, yes. She's incredible.
We love Linda. She makes it great. I mean, honestly, one of our club members went there to look for our wines, and she helped him. And he loved our Pinot, by the way. Speaking of Pinot. Yeah, so Linda, she did tell us that Albertsons is the #1 selling wine in California is at Albertsons. And when you go in there, you will see why it's #1. She has such a great variety of it.
Yeah, so Pablo's pouring at Albertsons this Friday. I'll be there Friday the 21st. And it's fun because you're out grocery shopping and then you walk by the wine aisle and, hey, someone's serving wine. And you can taste wine within this roped off area. I usually bring 3 or 4 wines. I bring some of the wines that are sold at Albertsons, and then I bring 1 or 2 wines that Albertsons doesn't have, but our tasting room has. So that way you can kind of see what they have. You can pick up wine tonight from Albertsons, or you could try something that maybe you didn't think of trying and stop by and get it at the tasting room. That's the next couple Fridays. We've got our open house parties, which is this Saturday and Sunday, November 8th and 9th. We're sold out Saturday. We sold 150 tickets to wine club members and friends of members. Sunday, we have a few spots open. We're almost sold out. So this is going to be great. My sister was on this podcast a couple weeks ago. She went over the menu. I went over the wines that are being paired with the menu. So you've heard all that already. So if you're a wine club member listening to this Friday, the party is tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday.
There are still tickets for Sunday. And also, just to let you know, wine club members for 2, it is complimentary. So just want to let you know.
It's complimentary, but we do run out of spots. So if you haven't got a ticket, do so right now,
yes,
please.
Sunday, there's a few tickets left.
And then the next Saturday, what's happening? It's our fall art fair, Donna. That's right.
It's our fall art fair, and it's going to be fantastic. We're going to probably have over 25 people there that are artists. They're local artists. And right now we are stitching everything up. I'm getting a count. So once I get that, I actually send it to Paul, and Paul lets me know how many pop-up tents we're going to have, because they're going to have their own pop-up tents. They're going to have 2 chairs. And what we do is me and Michael Bickford, he helps me out. He's kind of my assistant that day. And we just make sure that all the artists are taken care of. They set up around 10 o'clock, and the show is from 12 to 4 o'clock. We'll have some live music. We'll have 2 food trucks. I hope the hot dog guy is going to be there in Patagonia.
He's coming.
He's great. So it's going to be a really fun place to actually support our local artists. Come in. They have some prices in there that are so affordable, and there's some that are pretty pricey. But hey, if you love art, you'll dedicate yourself to supporting these wonderful artists and take home something that you love or give it as a gift for the holidays. So please come to our fall art fair. It is from 12 to 4 on November 15th.
And what type of art can people expect to buy?
So you're going to see jewelry, you're going to see paintings, you're going to see barrel art, which Ira's there. Iran does the barrel art there. But we're going to have even more art barrels. We're going to see photography, paintings, people who make clothes. Oh my gosh, there's so many ceramics. There's going to be some ceramics there. I believe there's a lady who paints on people's faces that's going to be there. Sculptures are going to be there. So we have a variety of all different artwork there. So it's going to be fun to be able to see that and be able to purchase it too. So that's going to be wonderful.
Yeah, most of these artists are from the Central Coast, either from Paso or neighboring towns, and
from our county. Yeah, from our county.
They sell art on their websites, maybe in a couple local art galleries, shops, and studios, but most of them don't have an opportunity like this to just bring out all the stuff they've been working on in their homes and in their studios and displaying it, and really unique items, really one-of-a-kind works of art, and it's a lot to take in, and it's great that our community has so many lots of talented people that you don't even realize that live right here.
And the reason why we do it as a local county is because, you know, when you go to Los Angeles and you go to San Francisco, these bigger cities, they have a lot of support of the art there. So I was working in an art gallery a long time ago, and I remember I was kind of frustrated with there was no support for the artists there. And this older gentleman looked at me and he says, well, maybe you're going to support them one day. And I just kind of went, what? So anyway, here I am supporting artists and musicians. So it did come true. So I love the idea that we can support local people, local artists, our community. So it's a pleasure to do it. I mean, it really is, to be able to see their work and how much time and work they do just to get that out there for us. So please come and check it out and support our local artist.
That's right. That's next Saturday, November 15th, 12 to 4. We've got food for sale. There's live music
and it's free.
Lots of art. Right. This is
a free event. And we'll have another free event coming on December 6th, which is the showcase. And I have to tell you how that began. So Sally Dallas is a writer, and she contacted me and she said, hey, can I be in the art show? I'm like, well, you're an artist, you're a writer, sure. So she did, and her very first show we did with her there, she sold out of her books. So I thought, when she showed up at the next one, I said, what do you think about doing a book fair or a local artist, writers showcase? And she says, okay. So Sally and I started working on it. And I asked your dad, because your dad has also written a book. And can you tell us a little bit about your dad's book real quick?
Yeah, he's got a book he wrote years ago called His Healing Hands, which is about the medical team that he's started, the medical missionary team. And each chapter of the book, it's really great how it comes out. Each chapter of the book is about a different country that he went to on one of these medical missions. But then during that chapter, he reflects on his life, on his upbringing and time in Vietnam, during the Vietnam War, or becoming a doctor. So he goes back, he does little flashbacks through with each chapter. And so it's his biography, but it's also a look at this group, His Healing Hands, which is a local medical group that now they travel all over the world. And it's great. Yeah, so he's going to be there, and we've got his book.
And we're going to have him sign some of his books, which will be great. And there'll be some prizes for a lot of the customers there. So it'll be really fun to be able to support these wonderful local artists. Some of these local writers are on the New York Times seller list. So it's really a fun event, and I'm so excited to support our writers out there. So your dad's book is going to be there. He's going to sign some books. It's going to be a fun event, and that's December 6th. And we thought, hey, what a great way to get a gift for someone. Some of those will fit in a stocking. Some of them might not, but I think they're just great gifts. to be able to read from our local writers around here. So I'm excited about that. This is our first one, so we're really excited about it.
Yep. So that's coming up December 6th. Before that, we have Black Friday, which is November 28th, which is the most fun day we have at Sculpterra.
Yes.
We open at 6 a.m. and we serve, we don't do wine tasting at 6 a.m., but we have coffee and donuts.
Yes, it's like you walk in and there's all this coffee and donuts, and we're behind the bar taking the orders. Paul and his team are in the back. They're like the little elves getting it all ready. So it's a smooth thing, but it's from 6 a.m. They'll get 60% off.
Yes, it's the biggest discount we offer, but just from 6 to 10 a.m. And you got to be there. You got to be in person 6 to 10 a.m. to get that 60% off. So come in store and get it, and come early. Why not? Get your wine.
I'll be there.
Yep. So that's coming up too. And then our Christmas event, December 18th, which my wife and son are going to be here. We're going to talk about that because they're performing and singing, and that's going to be really special as well. Well, moving on to our next section of the podcast. This is my TMI, too much information, my personal life, my information. So my wife's birthday is the same day as the art fair, November. Her birthday's on the 14th, but on the 15th, Saturday, we're having an event, and she wants to do a sweet 16 party. She's not 16. She's going to be 41. We didn't do a big party when she turned last year, when she was actually 40. So she wanted to do, now that she's over 40, she said, well, I want to pretend I'm 16, have a sweet 16 party, because she never got to have a sweet 16 party. So to do this party, we're doing a dance performance where we're learning steps to a dance. So we're practicing a lot for this. And I'm not a dancer, but we have a dance teacher. So we're doing bachata, a little bit of salsa. And there's going to be 4 couples all together. And we've got a synchronized dance that we're pulling off for my wife's birthday. So it's been hard. It's been difficult. I'm not a dancer, but I'm trying. I really want to do this for my wife. I want to do it right, and I want it to look good. We might have 150 people there. My wife's popular. She has a lot of friends. Everyone knows her in the community. She's a lot of fun.
Paloma.
She gets out, and she has a nice mix of her Mexican family and then friends that she's worked with over the years, and they like to dance. She knows a lot of people that can dance. I'm not so much the person that can dance, but with enough practice, maybe I can get there, Donna. With enough practice.
I remember when you were dating her, and we would talk about her when we were cleaning the glasses in the back. Mm-hmm. You would go, "Hey, Paloma," I'm like, she's cool. I like her. And all of a sudden, I'm at your wedding. That was a wonderful day. Mm-hmm. It was a wonderful day.
Yep. Okay. Learning to dance. What about animals in the vineyard? We have this is my son's topic because he loves to know what's going on. Well, we have barn owls. People see our barn owl houses. When I take you on a vineyard tour, or you're going around the property. One barn owl can eat 10 squirrels or gophers, little squirrels, but gophers and rats and mice, about 10 every night, which is pretty incredible. And they can travel 3 to 5 acre span, what they can hunt over. So that's why you see a lot of barn owl houses in up and around vineyards. So it's a great natural way to do
and they're really
rodent
tall.
control.
They're really tall, right?
Yes, and the one key to it, if you were to make a barn owl house, is a lot of people, they get a box, right? You just make a plywood box or whatever you're using, and put it on a pole and get it really high in the air. Don't put a perch on it. That's one of the problems that people find. They think of it as like a birdhouse. Maybe the bird wants to land on the perch, hang out for a bit, and then go inside the hole. Don't do that, because what happens is hawk will land on the perch and eat the baby owls that are inside. So you just want to have a box with a hole, and the barn owl what it does is it flies towards the hole, it grabs onto the hole, and then crawls itself in. So they don't need any kind of perch. Don't do a perch. That was one thing I was taught, and it's true. So barn owls, very.
We love barn owls.
They've got that heart-shaped head thing.
Yeah.
They look really interesting. Yeah, one time when I was little, we had an oak tree that came down on the property, and I heard this hissing sound from the tree, and I walked over, and it was 3 or 4 little barn owl babies that had fallen out of the tree. Their mom wasn't around. So we took them in, and my dad had a patient at the time who took care of reptiles and birds, and he had a place out in Creston. So we called him, we brought him to him, he put him in a kennel, he took care of them, and I would go there every couple days and help him clean the kennels and feed them. And then once they were old enough and healthy enough, we brought them back to the property and released them back in the same spot. So that was a memory I'll never forget. But I remember this barn owl hissing at me. It sounded like a snake, so I named it Hiss because it was hissing. I never heard that sound. I don't know why I was making that sound.
Is he still around?
I don't know how long they live. Maybe not. They're not the smartest animals. The raccoons tend to get them, to get the barn owls. But okay, what about nerd out on wine? We like to jump to this topic here where we get a little more specific on something nerdy about wine, which today I wanted to talk about this really interesting, not an issue, but something that you see often is the New World wine versus the Old World wine, which New World, we think of California, we think of, the places that have recently got into the wine business.
New Zealand.
Yep.
Australia.
Exactly. Where the Old World, you're thinking, France, Italy, Germany, places that have been making wine for thousands of years. The main difference of New World and Old World is the Old World style of wine is not as cutthroat, not as clean, not as sanitary. They're using older barrels, or they're reusing barrels, or the equipment they use is older and it's not as easy to keep clean and sanitary. Where like the New World wineries, the New World winemaking that we do at Sculpterra is everything is clean before we use it, after we use it. We're buying a percentage of new oak every year. We use cultured yeast. So Old world winemaking, maybe they don't add yeast. They just pick the grapes. There's native yeast in the vineyard. So when the grapes come in, it just starts to activate on its own and ferment. But it's very interesting because I've been to Greece and I've tasted wines, and you start realizing that like my palate, I like the New World wines because they're just cleaner, fresher, vibrant. You could pick up a lot of flavors, where the Old World style, it may be like smooth and developed, but you don't get a lot of the fruitiness that you do the New World versus the Old World. And it's kind of a battle in the wine industry, right? Because there's been people and there's been lots of wineries that have done it the same way for this generation after this generation. They just do it. They do it the same way, where now with more scientific development, research, we've learned, when to check the fermenting must, what type of yeast food to add, when is the right time to press, not over oxidizing the wine, how to maybe use argon in wine to keep oxygen off it. So lots of techniques to keep wine from spoiling, where in the Old World, they just make the wine and they've just done it that way forever. So not to say that one way is better than the other, but it is a battle, and it's more of a battle in Europe where you really see it, where there's larger wineries that do more of this tip-top cleaning and keeping everything nice and tidy, where the Old World wineries, it's just kind of thrown around. They've done it forever that way. They have native yeast in the building. So I've tasted a lot of older French wines, and it's not really my palate, again, because I'm used to and prone to drinking young wine. So New World versus Old World. Have you experienced that, Donna, where you've tried like some older brands versus some newer world wines?
Yeah, I have. And I tend to like the newer world wines. I went to New Zealand for a month and I tasted their wines and I went, wow, this is amazing. So I like that style. That's just personal. I like that.
Yeah, again, I think it's what you were brought up tasting, like in France and Italy. You drink wine when you're young. They have table wine. They have wine with every meal pretty much. So whatever you're used to drinking, whatever style you were taught, this is wine, where we were brought up drinking, Coca-Cola and other things. So we have a different palate. A different palate. But it's very interesting especially when I travel around the world and I visit other wineries, you can learn a lot by just their procedure and how they make the wine. And do they lean more towards New World, where everything is scientific and checked and analyzed, or the Old World where, hey, this is how we've always done it. This is the equipment we've always used, and we're going to keep it that way. Yeah. It's an interesting philosophy.
And there's appreciation for both of them. There really is a lot of history behind that. But I'm going to ask you some questions. Is this the time to ask you questions, Paul?
It is. Go for it.
I'm going to ask Paul some questions. Here we go. All right, Paul. Being a small business owner, winemaker, and vineyard manager is a labor of love. There is always so much to do. And do you ever sleep? And I have to tell you this. Paul is up early. I thought I got up early, but Paul gets up really early. And he has a consistent energy of being positive and up all the time. So I appreciate that, because I've worked in the corporate world where they're not so happy all the time. But anyway, knowing Paul, so tell me, Paul, do you ever sleep?
Yes, that's a great question. I don't sleep a lot. This time of year, I try to go to bed by 8:30 or 9, but then I get up at 1 in the morning if we're harvesting, maybe even earlier than that. So I get 4 hours, maybe 5, 6 at the most hours of sleep every night. I read recently there was some research done that men don't need 8 hours of sleep. That with like 5 or 6 hours, men are fine. Different with women. Women need 8 hours.
We need our beauty sleep.
Yes.
It is true.
But it's hard. Yeah, it's hard because the vineyard, the winery, the tasting room, like I'm involved in all of this, and everything takes time. It takes planning. It takes preparation and meetings and figuring everything out. But I love it. There's times in my day where I'm stressed and I'm trying to work through everything, and how am I going to get this done, and how is this going to happen in time? And then I just kind of take a step back and I'm looking outside and I'm looking at the oak trees and the vines, like, look where we live, look what we're doing, look at this product that we're making. It's worth it. It's fun. It's enjoyable. It's a labor of love. It's hard. And if I have to sacrifice sleeping, that's okay.
But we appreciate you always being so positive and always just in a great mood. I mean, most of the time, like 99% of the time, you are always in a great mood. Yes. I was like, how does he do it? What are you eating? Which wine are you drinking? Now, I do get this question a lot, but here's a question for you. Are some of the Sculpterra wines vegan and natural? I do get that question a lot.
Yes, it was funny was I never really researched this to find out, like the products I add in wine, yeast or tartaric acid, malic acid, is this all natural and or vegan? Well, I was months ago, I had a person from Hollywood who I may make wine for. I'm not going to say their name yet, but if it happens, I'll let you know about it. So they were asking me, because they said, oh yeah, we want you to make wine for us, but it has to be vegan, like vegan wine. So I looked it up. Basically, it's no animals were hurt, or there's no animal products in the wine. We don't do that, because you could use egg whites when you filter wine or stabilize. So that's one thing. You could use fish gut when you filter wine. I've never done that. Yeah, every product.
Who has used fish guts? I mean, seriously, we got to find out. I'm going to do a little research and find out who's doing fish guts.
Yeah, I don't think many wineries are using it anymore, but it was a thing of the past. We've never done it. But yeah, so I spent a couple hours and researched, okay, let's see. I went through everything that we add to the wine, and it's all natural. I've got paperwork. It's, certified or organic, natural, occurring in nature, nothing weird, no animals hurt in our wine. So we are natural wines and we are vegan wine at Sculpterra.
That's cool. Now, theirs has 3 questions, but I do have another question for you, Paul.
Okay.
Now, Paul is a winemaker. He does a lot of managing the land, but I want to go on to your musical side. Can you please tell us what kind of instruments you played, and have you ever been in a band before?
Yeah. Yes. I don't want to take up too much time because there's a lot, which we can get more into this for sure, Donna. But yes, I play the drums, which I picked that up in high school. In fact, Patrick, who will be part of the Authors Showcase, Patrick Patton, I played music with him, and him and I learned our instruments at the same time. So when Patrick's here next week, I think we're going to talk more about that, talk about how we picked up instruments and started playing. But I play the drums. I'd like to play the guitar and the piano. I can dabble around on that a little bit. But yes, I've been in Candle was the main band I played in. I was in El Moss, Kevin Coons's music, Mirror War, Candle. So I started my own record label, Real Love Records. We started that. That was also like 2005-ish, and we did that till 2012. I built a recording studio, a makeshift recording studio in my parents' barn. I loved it. And we used to play at the tasting room, which was great. We'd play at the wine club parties and special events. Too. Yep. We did one big tour of the whole country. So what Donna was talking about early on the show, seeing the country. Wow. That really opened my eyes to lots of things. It was fantastic. I love traveling. I love playing and performing for different people every night. So I'll get more into it. I'll get more into
that's a good segue.
Music talking. But for now, let's taste some wine. I mentioned earlier that we're going to try Bentley Ironworks, which is our most expensive Cabernet. This is $80 a bottle. So we've got our 2022. I'll pour that for you, Donna. We're going to try, let's try the 2023 first, which I don't think anyone's tasted this yet. So here we go. I can do this here. Let's do a little bit. One thing interesting with this wine is it's 100% new oak, which we don't do this to any of the other wines. And I made 780 cases, so we have quite a bit of it. So it's gonna last us quite some time. 2023 Bentley Ironworks, and again, what's special about it is the grapes are sourced from the 3.5 acre cane prune Cabernet right next to Bob Bentley's iron shop. So we use Bob's label here.
And you'll notice that Bob's gates are on here, and those gates on each side are 4,100 pounds each. So our tasting room used to be his studio.
Yeah. And this is a wine. This is, it's interesting because it's our most expensive Cabernet. So you might expect it to be like heavy and bold and over the top and tannic.
It's elegant.
Yes.
It's very elegant.
But yes, it's more on the lines of just classic Cabernet, very ageable, all about the texture, mouthfeel. And this, like I said, it's 100% new oak, but I get a lot of fruit and I get a lot of cherry and chocolate,
I can taste that
cocoa.
Cherry in there. And there's little tannins at the very end of it. But it is very light and it's elegant and it's just got a full mouth structure to it.
Yeah.
This is going to age really well too.
And this is going to be released with our Cabernet clubs. We have a club that's just for Cabernet wine drinkers. Where we
Cabernet Connection.
Cab and Cabernet blends. The 2023 Bentley Ironworks. Tasting great. I mean, it's going to be an age-worthy wine.
And you can check out our wine clubs on Sculpterra.com. They'll give you all the different options for the wine club. And Cabernet Connection is on there. And it's 6 bottles 2 times a year. And also you get some special deals. We always give our wine club members really great deals throughout the year. And
on that note, we're starting a sweet wine club.
Yes.
Going to announce that in December called Sweet Dreams. Sweet Dreams.
So we have a sculpture called Sweet Dreams, and it's a beautiful tiger, lion just laying on a branch. Cheetah. And it's laying on the branch. And when Paul was asking me about this, I said, I think that's a great idea. We should call it Sweet Dreams. And your dad liked that.
Yep.
Right.
Okay. Well, sorry to make you rush, Donna, but let's try the next one. 2022. So the 23 was 15% alcohol, which typically That's a little high for Bentley Ironworks. We usually get it, around like 13.5 to 14.5. 2022 is 14% even, so this is more of what we typically see.
Perfect.
Doing too much. Aha. Okay, so now we're going back in time. This is the way that I like to taste wines. I like to do the youngest to the oldest. So, yeah, you even notice that the colors are a little differently. That the color appears different. This one has a little more of like that red brick color, where the 23 was more purpley and more intense looking. They smell very similar to me, this one, because it's older, more developed, more oxidized, more easy to pick up what's going on.
Easier drinking. It has a little bit less tannins than the other one. This is beautiful. Wow. I have to tell you, Bentley cabs are just always so elegant because a lot of people expect these really heavy cabs. And when they taste the Bentley, they get this nice, beautiful, elegant taste to it. And they just love it. They love it.
Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah, I've been really enjoying the 2022 vintages right now. This is coming along great. Hard to pick a favorite of these two. These are both great.
All your wines are hard to pick. They're all good.
Okay.
Darn it.
Hard to pick just one wine. Okay, that's why we have a list with many wines. You come and taste them, and you don't have to have a favorite. You could like this wine one week and another wine the next week. So really happy with these wines, the Bentley Ironworks 23 and 22. They're tasting great. So
I have to tell you, 22 is my favorite. Loving this.
So next week, there's going to be 4 of us. We're going to try this. We've never had 4 of us in the podcast. We'll have Sally, Patrick, Donna, and myself. Is that next week? That's next week. Yeah, and that'll be, again, talking about the author showcase.
You're going to get me twice this month. Yay! Thank you, Paul. I really appreciate it. This is such a fun thing. I've known Paul for so long. And to see him grow as a winemaker, he just gets better and better and better. And I'm not just saying that because I'm picky about wines. But your wines are fabulous. And I get to hear it from the customers all the time. So thank you, Paul.
Thank you, everybody. It's been a lot of fun. We'll be back next week with a lot of people in the room. Okay. See you soon.